Death Note Chapter 08 Volume 2. The chapter opens on a roadside accident. Raye Penber steps out, alert, while the bus driver calls for help. Light emerges from the stopped bus, composed. Raye approaches him and in a low voice explains that he is in Japan on a top secret mission, that the Japanese police are involved, including Light's father. Light understands and assures him he will not speak about meeting him. After this brief exchange, Raye decides to leave before the police arrive, not wanting to be identified at the scene. Light watches him go and keeps his thoughts hidden. Everything has unfolded exactly as planned. He does not want the police to know he has been in contact with an FBI agent. If his father learned of it, L would hear soon after. Raye clearly does not suspect Light, and the authorities will treat what happened as a simple accident. The bus resumes its route towards Spaceland. Someone insists they continue their day as planned rather than deal with police questions. Ryuk chuckles about how people can be unexpectedly tough in a crisis, and Light answers with a dry smile. The perspective shifts. Raye enters his building, swipes his access card, and steps inside where a woman waits for him. She greets him softly. He removes his blazer with deliberate calm and sinks into the sofa, heavy with fatigue. She studies him and asks if something happened. He tells her he got caught up in a bus hijacking carried out by a man who had tried to rob a bank a few days earlier. He confirms he was on that bus when it unfolded. The hijacker eventually jumped out and was struck by a car. Raye assumes the man died, but he did not remain at the scene because he did not want to get involved. She hesitates, then asks if it was really a coincidence that Raye was there. She believes he was tailing a possible suspect and that a criminal died right in front of him. Raye draws a line. He reminds her that she was an excellent FBI agent, but that she is here as his fiancée and nothing else. She is no longer with the bureau. She promised not to get involved or do anything that would endanger her. Those were the conditions. They came so they could meet his parents. She backs down, calling it a force of habit, and apologizes. He softens and tells her not to take it too hard. Once they have a family, she will be so busy, she will forget she ever was an agent. He asks her to use her keen mind for something else right now, like figuring out how he can make a good impression on her future in-laws. Their tension eases into a small laugh. The frame moves to Light's home. Light speaks with Ryuk about the agent. Now that he knows the agent's name, he still intends to wait about a week before writing it. It would be foolish to act right after meeting him. Better to let the agent investigate others and create distance. Light plans to write the name only after he has seen the list of names and faces of all FBI agents operating in Japan. In the meantime, he will also probe L by using another criminal in custody, testing how L responds. The scene transitions to L's residence. Vatari informs him that another victim has left something like a suicide note. L asks for a scan. The message speaks of gods of death. L weighs the possibility that Kira is trying to suggest that Shinigami exist. He instructs Vatari to alert the police to keep close watch on all prisons, anticipating more notes of this kind. Time advances by 1 week. Reports erupt. FBI agents in multiple prefectures have died, all from heart attacks. The count and locations are precise. Shock ripples through the ranks. Notepads found on the bodies indicate they were probing the National Police Agency. Orders go out to contact the FBI immediately. Vatari establishes a connection. The FBI director informs L that 8 agents in Japan are confirmed dead and that he cannot reach the rest. The director believes Kira killed them. L asks if anyone had the faces and names of all 12 agents. The director says only he did until the previous day. A request had come in for the names and photos so the agents could coordinate. He sent the entire file by email attachment. The realization lands. Kira must have been in contact with one of the agents and somehow saw that file. The director explains that multiple agents asked for the same information, so he assumed it was a coordinated decision. He sent the file to the first 4 and told them to forward it to the others. In the end, all of the agents had the file. L reasons that if Kira can control actions before death, he could have forced the chain of sharing to complete and then killed them. The director then delivers a final blow. The FBI will terminate its investigation in Japan. He notes that Kira has murdered many criminals in the United States, but since L narrowed Kira's location to the Kanto region around Tokyo, the deaths have concentrated in Japan. The Japanese victims are criminals, but the FBI has lost good agents, people with families. The director faces political repercussions and fears for his own life because he is a public figure. The bureau is pulling out. A call comes to the FBI director from Detective Superintendent Yagami of the Japanese NPA. The director states that the FBI was in Japan at L's request. The task force reacts with outrage and dread. Trust in L erodes. They accept that if Kira murdered the FBI agents, he will also eliminate anyone who tries to catch him. That means every investigator is a target. Fear spreads through the room. One officer reflects that perhaps they should have followed the FBI agents more closely instead of focusing on imprisoned criminals. The next day, another victim leaves a note. Watari scans it for L. It speaks of love never known and has a strange reference to apples ending in despair. L seats at Kira. Elsewhere, Light discusses the situation with Ryuk. By killing the FBI agents, he has taken a bold step. He is almost certain L will infer that Kira contacted at least one agent, and Light is confident that bold moves leave clues that L will chase. Even so, the FBI is now furious and will hesitate to send replacements. L is running out of pieces and will soon have to act directly. At last, the news reaches the woman closest to Raye. She learns that Raye is dead. She understands immediately that it was no accident. He was murdered by Kira.